The forbidden sound. Umalu was a village cradled by mountains and veiled in mist each morning. Life was simple. Roosters crowed at dawn, women pounded yam by noon, and children ran barefoot until the sun disappeared behind the baobab trees. But there was one thing that remained untouched, unspoken, and feared: the forest of Isaba. Elders warned children never to wander beyond the stream into the forest. "That land is cursed," they would say, tapping their canes. "The spirit of betrayal lives there, resting inside the cursed drum." But like many young men who refused to be caged by stories of the old, Kelechi was curious. At 18, he was strong, tall, and fearless. His father, Ogbufi, was a respected hunter, and his mother, Mama Nawaka, a skilled weaver. Yet Kelechi wanted more than the rhythm of routine life. He craved discovery, adventure, danger. One quiet afternoon, while tending goats near the border of Isaba, Kelechi heard something strange, a low hum, like the echo of drums beneath the earth. He tilted his head. There it was again, faint but steady. Drawn like a moth to flame, he stepped across the stream and into the forbidden woods. The trees here were thicker, their roots like snakes gripping the earth. Vines dangled like warnings, and the air smelled of old rain and secrets. As he pushed deeper, the hum grew louder, leading him to a moss-covered mound. He dropped to his knees and began digging with his bare hands. Hours passed. Sweat soaked his shirt, and his fingers bled, but Kelechi didn't stop. Then, thud, wood. Carefully, he brushed away the soil to reveal a wooden drum, dark as midnight, with symbols carved around its body. The moment he touched it, a sharp wind blew through the forest, howling like 1,000 voices. Ignoring the unease in his chest, Kelechi lifted the drum and hit it once. Boom! The sound shook the trees. Birds scattered. The air shifted. He played again. Boom, boom, boom. The rhythm came to him naturally, as if his hands remembered a song his mind never knew. Suddenly, a shriek echoed from the depths of the forest. The trees trembled. The drum slipped from his fingers and rolled into the undergrowth. Kelechi stood frozen as a coldness crawled over his skin. He ran, faster than he ever had. He didn't stop until he was back in the village, panting, heart thundering like the drumbeat still echoing in his mind. That night, the village changed. Cattle cried and broke free. Wind tore through thatched roofs. Flames erupted from cooking fires without warning. Children woke screaming from nightmares they couldn't explain. In the meeting hut, the elders gathered, their faces grim. "The curse," Elder Ataku whispered, her voice trembling. "It has returned." Kelechi, hiding in his hut, wrestled with guilt and confusion. He didn't know what he had awakened, only that it had begun with a sound. A sound he should never have made. And far beyond the village, deep within the forest, the shadows began to move. The spirit of the betrayed priestess had stirred. Whispers in the night. The morning after the chaos, Umalu awoke to an eerie silence. No birds sang, no goats bleated. Even the wind seemed hesitant to breathe. Fear had settled in like dust, clinging to every wall and doorway. In the center of the village, the elders gathered again beneath the sacred Iroko tree. Elder Ataku, with her milky eyes and beaded cane, spoke first. "This is no ordinary disturbance. Something ancient has awakened." The villagers murmured among themselves. Some clutched charms. Others wept quietly. Only Kelechi sat alone, away from the crowd, the drumbeat still echoing in his mind. He hadn't told anyone about what he'd done. Shame and fear warred within him. "Who among us has entered the forest of Isaba?" Elder Chukwu demanded, his voice sharp. "Who has disturbed the drum?" No one answered. Mama Nawaka, watching her son's pale face from afar, frowned. Mothers know things. And deep inside, she suspected. That night, Kelechi couldn't sleep. Every creak of the hut made him jump. At midnight, a whisper floated into his ears, soft, feminine, chilling. "You played my song." Kelechi shot up, eyes wide. The whisper was gone. He rubbed his face and stepped outside. Mist clung to the ground, and the village lay still. But as he turned to go back inside, he saw her, a woman standing at the edge of the path, near the trees. She wore a long white cloth that shimmered under the moonlight. Her hair flowed like water, and her eyes glowed faintly gold. "Who are you?" he asked, heart pounding. The woman smiled. "You know me, Kelechi. You summoned me." He stepped back. "Summoned? I didn't mean to. You struck the drum, my drum, and now the pact must be honored." "I don't understand," he stammered. "You will," she said, and vanished like smoke. Kelechi stumbled back into his hut, terrified. At dawn, he couldn't take it anymore. He rushed to Elder Atiku's compound and fell to his knees. "I was the one," he confessed. "I went into the forest. I dug up the drum. I played it." Elder Atiku looked at him long and hard. Her expression held sorrow, not anger. "Then the stories were true," she said. "What stories?" he asked, desperate. She motioned for him to sit. "Centuries ago, a priestess named Ojima guarded the sacred drum of Umalu. It was said to hold the power to call spirits, both divine and cursed. When the villagers betrayed her, killing her lover and banishing her, she poured her soul into the drum and cursed it with her final breath. She swore that if anyone awakened it, her wrath would return." Kelechi's stomach turned. "What happens now?" Atiku sighed. "Now, Ojima walks again. And she will not rest until Umalu pays." Kelechi left her compound with heavy steps. He'd started something beyond his understanding. But he also knew this: he had to fix it. Somehow. As the sun dipped once more below the horizon, the mist returned, thicker, darker. And in its heart, the ghostly priestess waited. The spirit's warning. Kelechi barely slept the next night. His dreams were soaked in flames and whispers, shadowy figures dancing around him, chanting in tongues he couldn't understand. When he finally awoke, drenched in sweat, the sun was already high in the sky. Word had spread across Umalu that the curse had returned because of a single drumbeat. But only Elder Atiku and Mama Nawaka knew who was truly responsible. The villagers prayed harder. Some fasted. Others packed their belongings in secret, planning to flee. Meanwhile, Kelechi stood before the forest again. This time, not as a boy chasing wonder, but as a young man seeking redemption. He stepped into Isaba carefully, each movement deliberate. The forest, once alive with noise and insects, now felt like a forgotten grave. No birds, no crickets. Just the sound of his breath. He returned to the place he'd unearthed the drum. The mound of soil was still disturbed. Nearby, the drum lay, untouched. Yet something about it had changed. It pulsed faintly, like a heartbeat, glowing with a soft red hue. Kelechi knelt beside it. "I didn't know. I didn't mean to awaken you," he whispered. A cold breeze swept through the trees. Then, once more, he heard her voice. "Ojima. You say you didn't know. But knowledge does not excuse awakening the dead." She materialized from the shadows, tall and regal, her face painted with symbols of old. Her eyes shimmered with rage, but also sorrow. "You called me, and so I came," she said. "Umalu betrayed me. They spilled my lover's blood and laughed as I wept. For that, I cursed them. Now, the curse lives again through you. Please," Kelechi begged, "I want to undo it. Tell me how. Ojima studied him. Undoing a curse is not as easy as striking a drum. It requires pain, truth, and sacrifice. Are you willing to pay that price? He swallowed. Yes. Then listen carefully, she said, her voice turning to wind. You must return the drum to the sacred shrine at Mount Ida. There, under the moon's full eye, it must be played one last time, not with hands of pride, but with a heart of purity. Only then will I listen. But the mountain is 3 days away, he said. And the village. Every hour you delay, the curse grows stronger, she warned. By the third night, Umalu will be ash and bones. Then she vanished. Kalechi stood, heart racing. He had a mission now. A path. But he could not walk it alone. Back in the village, he went straight to Mama Nawaka. Mother, I need your help, he said. She looked into his eyes, saw the fear, and nodded. I knew this day would come. Together, they visited Elder Ataku once more, who summoned the council. Kalechi stood before them all, the drum at his feet. I brought this upon us, he said, voice trembling. But I will make it right. I will take it to Mount Ida and end this curse. The elders argued. Some demanded punishment. Others feared the journey. But in the end, Ataku raised her cane and declared, let the boy go. Let him finish what he began. And may the spirits have mercy on us all. As Kalechi prepared for the journey, the skies darkened. Thunder rumbled in the distance. Time was running out. But in his heart, for the first time since that fatal drumbeat, a spark of hope flickered. The journey to Mount Ida. Kalechi stood at the village edge, the cursed drum strapped to his back, wrapped tightly in goat skin. The air was thick with tension. The villagers gathered in silence, some stared in fear, others with a flicker of hope. Mama Nawaka handed him a small satchel of dried food, herbs, and a charm for protection. Remember, my son, she whispered, embracing him, you carry the weight of Umalu, but you also carry its hope. Beside her stood Nadi, Kalechi's childhood friend and the best tracker in the village. She stepped forward, spear in hand. You won't go alone, she said. I'm coming with you. But, he began. No argument, she cut in. You'll need someone who knows the mountain paths and can fight what waits in the dark. Kalechi nodded, grateful. Together, they turned and began the trek toward Mount Ida, with the entire village watching until they vanished into the trees. The journey was grueling. The first day, they crossed thick forests and fast rivers. The drums seemed to grow heavier with every step, as if it resisted the path ahead. By nightfall, they reached a clearing and lit a small fire. The forest around them buzzed unnaturally quiet. Kalechi stared at the flames. What if I fail? He whispered. You won't, Nadi said. You're doing something no one else dared. That counts for something. But sleep did not come easy. That night, the dreams returned, louder now. Ojima's face loomed in his mind, her voice a blend of rage and sorrow. Don't be late, she warned. Or your village will become dust. The next day, they climbed steeper trails. The trees thinned, the air grew colder. Midway through a ravine, the ground trembled. Rocks tumbled. From the shadows, figures emerged, blackened spirits, with hollow eyes and twisted limbs. The cursed guardians, Nadi muttered, raising her spear. Kalechi pulled the drum forward. Maybe they're not here to fight. But the spirits hissed, inching closer. Nadi threw her spear, piercing the chest of the first one. It wailed and vanished into smoke. The others charged. Kalechi clutched the drum and began to play, remembering Ojima's words, a heart of purity. He beat gently, boom, 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 letting his fear melt into rhythm, letting his remorse guide the sound. To his surprise, the spirits halted. They trembled, then bowed, slowly dissolving into mist. Nadi exhaled. What did you just do? I calmed them, he said, still stunned. They didn't speak much after that. As dusk approached, they reached the base of Mount Ida. The peak towered above them, wrapped in clouds like a crown. The shrine was near, but so was the third night. As they camped one last time, Nadi looked at him seriously. If anything happens up there, if you don't come back, I'll come back, he said firmly. I have too. But even as he said it, Kalechi could feel the mountain watching. Waiting, testing his resolve. The final ascent would be the hardest. And Ojima was waiting at the hardest. The trial at the shrine. The sun barely rose the next morning. Dark clouds circled Mount Ida like vultures around a dying beast. Kalechi and Nadi began their final ascent, the path winding like a serpent, jagged rocks scraping their legs and hands. The cursed drum thudded softly against Kalechi's back, pulsing like a heartbeat. As they climbed higher, the air grew thin. Each breath felt like swallowing smoke. Thunder growled above, and lightning streaked across the sky. The mountain was not welcoming them, it was testing them. Halfway up, a violent wind knocked them to their knees. From the swirling mist, a figure emerged, tall, robed in tattered cloth, and faceless. Nadi raised her spear. What is it this time? The figure pointed at Kalechi, voice hollow and booming. You seek to undo what was sealed with blood. Only blood can balance blood. I don't want more blood, Kalechi shouted over the wind. I want peace. Then prove it, the figure replied, raising a long, blackened staff. Face the trial. Suddenly, the ground cracked open beneath them. Nadi screamed as she fell, but vanished into thin air before hitting the bottom. Kalechi cried out, reaching, but he too was swallowed by darkness. He landed in a world that didn't feel real. It was a ghostly version of Umalu, silent, colorless, and frozen in time. In the center of the village stood Ojima, arms folded, eyes glowing with cold fire. You have come far, she said. But distance is not proof of redemption. What more must I do? Kalechi asked. Face what Umalu did to me. Suddenly, the ghost village came to life. He saw villagers dragging a weeping Ojima through the streets. Men with spears. Women with stones. A man, her lover, tied to a stake, blood pouring from a wound in his chest. No, Kalechi shouted, heart-breaking. Why are you showing me this? Because pain must be witnessed, Ojima said. Only when truth is remembered can healing begin. The vision vanished. Now Kalechi stood alone, the drum before him. Play it, she ordered. But not for power. Not for pride. Play for me. For my pain. For every tear I shed. Kalechi lifted his hands. His fingers trembled. Slowly, he began to play. A gentle, mournful rhythm. Boom, boom, ba boom. With each beat, the world around him changed. Color returned to the ghost village. The trees swayed softly. The sky cleared. Ojima closed her eyes. A single tear rolled down her cheek. You've heard me, she whispered. You've seen me. The illusion faded. Kalechi awoke at the peak of Mount Ida. Nadi lay beside him, stirring. Around them stood the ruins of the ancient shrine, stone pillars, half buried in moss. In the center, a pedestal of white stone. Place the drum, Ojima's voice said, softer now. Kalechi carried the drum to the pedestal. He laid it gently. The sky above cracked open with light, not thunder, but sunlight. For the first time in days, warmth touched his skin. Ojima appeared one last time. You have broken the chain, she said. Umalu is free. And so am I. With a final smile, she dissolved into wind, into peace. Kelechi collapsed to his knees. The weight was gone, the curse was lifted, and the mountain was silent once more. The return of the redeemed. The descent from Mount Ida was quiet. No spirits chased them, no cursed winds howled. The trees swayed gently as if bowing in respect. Kelechi and Nadi moved slowly, every step heavy with exhaustion, yet light with the weight lifted from their shoulders. The cursed drum, once hot with dark energy, now lay silent and ordinary in Kelechi's arms. Its surface no longer glowed. It was just wood and hide again, a relic of history, not a vessel of vengeance. As they reached the foot of the mountain, the forest around them had changed. Birds sang again, sunlight filtered through the branches. It was as if the very soul of the land had exhaled. Nadi glanced sideways at him. "Do you think they'll believe us?" Kelechi shrugged. "I don't know. But we'll show them." By the third evening, they approached Umalu. A group of villagers waited at the edge, elders, children, even warriors. When they saw the two figures emerging from the trees, a wave of murmurs and disbelief swept through the crowd. Mama Nawaka ran to them first, tears pouring from her eyes as she wrapped her arms around Kelechi. "You came back," she sobbed. "You came back." Behind her, Elder Ataku stepped forward, leaning on her cane. "Tell us, boy, is it done?" Kelechi nodded. "The curse is broken. Ojima has found peace. The drum no longer holds her pain." He placed the drum at Ataku's feet. The old woman touched it gently, then raised her eyes. "Then today, Umalu is reborn." The villagers began to cheer, not wild or loud, but deep and grateful. The kind of joy that comes after surviving a storm. But Kelechi wasn't finished. He stepped into the center of the crowd and raised his voice. "I did not just go to break a curse. I went to face the truth. Our village wronged Ojima. We must remember that. We must never let pride make us forget the pain we caused." There was silence. And then, to his surprise, Elder Chukwu stepped forward, his face grave. "You speak with wisdom beyond your years," he said. "From this day, the story of Ojima will be told each season, so none forget. And you," he paused, looking at Kelechi with new eyes, "have proven that one soul can change the fate of many." That night, the village held a feast, not to celebrate just the end of a curse, but the beginning of something new. Under the moonlight, Nadi sat beside Kelechi. "You think you'll ever play a drum again?" she asked teasingly. He chuckled. "Only if it's for dancing, not spirits." They both laughed, the sound echoing into the stars. And far away, on the peak of Mount Ida, where ancient spirits once roamed, the wind carried the softest whisper, not of sorrow, but of peace.